This is Audible.
Gilded Agony. Guns and Boys Book 7. Written by K. A. American. Narrated by Nathan Kelly. Chapter 1. "Dom?" Seth whispered into the darkness, but hearing no answer, he leaned closer and rubbed his hand up Domenico's shoulder. "Dom, are you still asleep?" Behind the thick gray curtains, the sun wasn't up yet, but Seth's mind had been spinning for over an hour now, and the weight was killing him. Domenico let out a raspy hum, acknowledging that he was aware of Seth speaking to him, but his naked back didn't even stir. Seth smiled at the sight and pulled the covers that bit lower. Black silk was the perfect embellishment for Dom's skin. "I want a crossbow," Seth whispered and put his leg over Domenico's, running a finger down Dom's spine. He loved every imperfection on that body. Every scar was there to remind him how much they'd survived together. Seth circled the one on the back of Domenico's shoulder, the one that Dino Villani created when he'd shot an 11-year-old boy and left him to bleed for hours. Seth leaned down to kiss the ugly, twisted scar that had set Domenico on the path to becoming who he was now, set him on a path that had eventually brought them together. This time, Dom raised his head off the pillow and looked Seth's way through a curtain of long, tangled locks. "What the hell are you talking about?" "Is it too early? Maybe it's still a dream." Seth wrapped his arms around Domenico's waist and pulled him close, enjoying how sturdy his husband was. The smooth hair licked his skin, and he smiled when Domenico didn't fight him and let himself be held, melting into Seth's embrace in the lazy way he only would in the mornings. "Good night." Seth smelled the long hair he loved so much and let his hand settle on Domenico's stomach. "Seth is asleep, but he's there, right next to you, and his subconscious is trying to tell you something." He bit back a grin and kissed Dom's ear. Domenico groaned and blindly reached for his pillow, which he stuffed into Seth's face. "Jesus Christ, go to sleep." Seth withdrew, but he wouldn't stop stroking Dom's arm. Maybe this wasn't the best of times, but day was dawning behind the curtains, and he couldn't get this new idea out of his head. What if Domenico was too busy to talk about it over breakfast? And they'd be around other people too, so getting his point across would be that much harder. Several heartbeats later, Domenico twisted out of his embrace like an eel, ending up on his knees, completely naked in front of Seth. With his black hair and a wild halo as he took deep breaths, he stiffened his muscles like the embodiment of Tarzan. What the fuck do you want? I'm working today." Seth inched away. "Okay, go back to sleep. I didn't want to annoy you." Domenico stared back at him in the dark, only to drop back to the mattress and pull the sheet over himself in a desperate gesture. He twisted to face the other way, and that was that. Seth waited a few more seconds. "It's just that I can't sleep. I want the crossbow. What do you think?" "Shut up." It wasn't Seth's fault that after a marathon of The Walking Dead, it was all he could think about. "But if, for example, in 20 years the world runs out of oil, there will be riots, and who knows where that leads us. The world will change, and ammo might be hard to come by. If I had the crossbow and I learned to use it now, learned to make my own bullets, we'd have the upper hand." The silence was disturbed by a loud snort. Domenico rolled Seth's way, wrapping himself in the sheet like a mummy. "Come on, Seth. It took me just weeks to establish us as the local royalty. Drying oil would be nothing to me. If that happens, I'm gonna take over alternative power sources and get so loaded you're gonna bathe in mineral water." Seth groaned but didn't look away from Domenico's bright eyes. Of course. He didn't need to do anything, because Dom would take care of it. "But wouldn't it be a useful skill in case of other emergencies? Like, I'm not saying I know what's gonna happen, but if there was a deadly illness spreading through the world and we had to fight our way through it before you managed to establish us anywhere." He wasn't exactly comfortable saying zombie apocalypse to his already disgruntled husband. Domenico let his head drop to the pillow and ignored him. Seth rolled out of bed. That was that, then. Maybe he'd broached the subject too soon. For a moment, he hesitated about saying something like, "See you downstairs," or "I'll go feed the chickens," but Domenico wasn't pleased with having his sleep disturbed, so maybe it was better if he stayed silent. He pulled on a pair of jeans and walked out, leaving Domenico in the darkness of the room. As soon as he stepped into the corridor, artificial light was no longer needed as the soft brightness of the rising sun poured through the large windows. Their home was spacious enough for the needs of their little family. In the